I never thought one day I would stand in front of a girl and feel like my entire chest was too small to hold my heart. But that was exactly what happened the day I met her. On that quiet, warm evening when the sun hung low over the street like it was tired after a long shift. I was just walking home from the small bookstore where I worked part-time, carrying a worn copy of The Great Gatsby that I'd promised myself I'd finally read this week. I wasn't expecting anything unusual, anything wild, anything life-changing. But life never warns you before it throws a miracle at your face. She was standing near the old bus stop on Willow Street, leaning against the green metal pole like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Her hair caught the golden light so perfectly it looked unreal, like the sun had been waiting all day just to shine on her. She wore a white dress with soft blue flowers, simple but strangely stunning. She looked like a character in a dream I didn't know I had. At first, I didn't even think she had noticed me. I mean, why would she? I was nobody, just a 24-year-old guy who worked in a bookstore, lived in a small rented room, and had more dreams than achievements. But then she lifted her head, and her eyes landed right on me. I swear, I forgot how to breathe. She smiled a small, tired smile, like she hadn't slept properly in days but still wanted to be polite. "Hey," she said softly, "do you know if the bus already passed?" Her voice, God, it was like warm rain, gentle and quiet. I almost dropped my book. I managed to pull myself together. No," I said. "It should come in a few minutes." She nodded, looking relieved just for a moment. But then her face changed, like she suddenly remembered a problem she'd been trying hard not to think about. I didn't know her yet. Not her story, not her past, not even her name. But I already felt something heavy move in my chest. Something new. Something dangerous. I wasn't supposed to feel that. She hugged her bag closer, like she was cold. But it wasn't cold. Not even close. "You okay?" I asked quietly. She turned her head slowly, like she wasn't expecting anyone to ask. "Yeah," she lied. "I didn't push. Not yet." She looked back toward the road, and a soft breeze lifted some strands of her hair. Without thinking, I said, "You look like you need a friend." She blinked, surprised. Maybe hurt. Maybe grateful. Maybe all at once. "Maybe," she whispered. That was the moment, right there. The moment my entire life shifted direction without my permission. We stood there in silence for a while. A comfortable silence, actually. She wasn't scared of it, and neither was I. After a few minutes, she rubbed her arms and said, like she had finally made a decision, "My name is Ariana Blake." Ariana. That was the moment I officially became a fool.
"I'm Oliver," he replied.
She smiled again. A real smile this time. Softer. Warmer. The kind that makes your knees feel weak even when you're standing still. The bus finally came, slow and noisy. She stepped onto the first stair but paused, turning back toward me. "Maybe I'll see you again?" she asked. I didn't even hesitate. "I hope so." She held my eyes for a moment longer, then nodded and disappeared inside. The doors closed, the bus started to move, and I felt something inside me move too. Like I just lost something I didn't even have yet. But fate is funny. It gives back what it takes, sometimes in strange ways. The next afternoon, she walked into my bookstore. I was arranging books on the front shelf when I heard the bell over the door ring. I didn't look up at first. Customers came in all day. But then I heard her voice. "Oliver." I froze. Completely froze. The book in my hand almost fell to the floor. I turned around, and there she was. Ariana. In the soft yellow light of the bookstore, she looked even more unreal. Her hair was slightly messy from the wind, her cheeks a little pink, and she wore a light denim jacket over a pastel top. She looked like someone straight out of every love story I never thought I'd be part of. "You came," I whispered like an idiot. "Yeah," she said, walking toward me. "I wasn't sure if you worked here, but I thought, well."
I guess he hoped.
That word, hoped. It did something to me. Something big. "What made you think I'd be here?" I asked, trying to sound normal. Failing miserably. "You had a book in your hand yesterday," she said with the faintest smirk. "And you looked like someone who works with books." She wasn't wrong. She spent the next hour walking through the aisles, touching book spines, smiling at random titles, asking small questions about authors. Sometimes she stood close enough that I could smell her perfume. Light and flowery, nothing heavy or overwhelming. Just perfect. But I wasn't stupid. Something about her eyes wasn't right. There was a sadness there, hiding behind her smiles. At one point, she stopped near the poetry section and traced her fingers along a shelf. "Do you ever start over?" she asked suddenly. I didn't expect the question. It felt like a stone dropped in a calm lake inside my chest. "Everyone does," I said. "At least once." She nodded slowly. "What if starting over means losing everything you loved?" I stepped closer. Not too close, just enough to show I wasn't scared of whatever she was holding inside. "Then maybe it means finding something better," I said. She looked up at me. Her eyes were shiny, but not from tears, from holding them back. "Do you always say things that sound like they belong in a book?" she whispered. I laughed softly. "Only around people who look like they need them." Her lips parted just slightly, like she wasn't used to someone being gentle with her. She picked out a small poetry book and handed it to me. "I want this one." As I rang it up, she looked around the store again, then said almost too quietly, "This place feels safe." I didn't know why that hit me so hard, but it did, like a punch made of velvet. "You can come anytime," I told her. "I mean it." She took the book, held it to her chest, and said, "Thank you, Oliver." Her voice cracked just a tiny bit on my name. She left, and my heart left with her. For the next weeks, she came almost every day. Sometimes for a few minutes, sometimes for hours. She told me bits and pieces about her life. Nothing too deep, nothing too painful, but enough to make me want to pull her closer and protect her from the entire world. She had left her old town after things got messy with her family. She didn't give details, but I didn't force her. I could tell she needed time. We became something. More than strangers. More than friends. But not quite lovers. Not yet. Still, I felt it growing. Like a quiet spark waiting to become a fire. She would sit on the floor between the shelves, reading while I arranged books. Sometimes she'd talk about dreams she had. Traveling to Paris, writing her own book, living near the sea. She said these things like she didn't believe they could ever happen. But I believed in them for her. And every time she left the store, she touched my arm gently. Not a hug, not a kiss, just a soft touch, but enough to make my whole body wake up. One rainy afternoon, she didn't show up. Then the next day, still nothing. 3 days passed. 4. I started to panic. On the 5th day, just before closing time, the door opened, and Ariana walked in, soaked from the rain, hair dripping, eyes red like she had been crying for hours. "Ariana!" I rushed toward her. She didn't say anything, just stepped forward and wrapped her arms around me. Her body shook, not from cold, from everything she was carrying inside. I held her tight, careful but strong. "Hey, it's okay. I'm here." She pressed her face against my chest and whispered, voice broken. I had nowhere else to go. My throat closed. "You have me," I whispered back. "Always." She cried quietly, her fingers gripping my shirt like she was afraid I'd disappear. After a few minutes, she pulled back just enough to look at me. Rain and tears mixed on her cheeks. "Oliver, do you think someone like me deserves something good?" "Yes," I said immediately. "You deserve everything good." Her lips trembled. "Even love." I cupped her cheeks gently. "Especially love." Her eyes widened, like nobody had ever said that to her before, like she had been waiting her whole life to hear it. I didn't kiss her. I wanted to, but it wasn't time yet. She was too fragile, too raw. But she didn't let go of my shirt. "Can I stay here for a while?" she asked quietly. "Stay as long as you want." She sat on the little couch near the window while I made her a warm drink from the old kettle in the back room. She wrapped her hands around the mug and stared out at the falling rain. "What happened?" I asked softly. She inhaled shakily. "Someone I trusted hurt me again, and I just walked away. I didn't know where to go. I just walked, and somehow my feet brought me here. I sat beside her. Not touching, just close enough for her to feel I wasn't going anywhere. You came to the right place, I said. She leaned her head against my shoulder. That small gesture, God, it felt like the beginning of everything. I didn't know yet that falling for her would change my world in ways I wasn't ready for. I didn't know that she was still carrying wounds deeper than anything I could imagine. I didn't know that I would soon have to choose between protecting her and confessing my truth. But I did know one thing. I was already gone for her. Completely. And I hoped, really hoped, that one day she would let me love her freely. The kind of love that ends not in heartbreak, but in marriage. The kind of love that becomes a promise. Because I was already dreaming of a future with her. Even if she didn't know it yet. That night changed something between us. Something invisible but strong. After she fell asleep on the small bookstore couch, curled up like a child trying to protect herself, I covered her with my own jacket and sat beside her, watching the soft rise and fall of her breathing. I knew then I wasn't just falling for her. I was already in love. Not the dramatic movie kind. Not the shallow temporary kind. But the quiet, deep kind, the kind that feels like home. When she woke up the next morning, sunlight spilled across her face. She blinked a few times, confused, before her eyes found me. And when she saw me sitting there, still guarding her, something in her heart shifted. I saw it happen. You stayed, she whispered, voice sleepy and soft. I wasn't going anywhere, I said. Her lips parted a little, like she wasn't sure how to handle kindness that didn't demand anything in return. She sat up slowly, brushing her hair back. I must look terrible right now. You look perfect, I said without thinking. She froze, not blushing, not smiling, just staring like she was trying to understand how someone could see beauty in her weakest moment. Stop being so good to me, she whispered quietly. I don't know how to accept it. I reached out gently and tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. You don't have to accept anything. I want to be here. That's it. Her eyes filled again, but she didn't cry. She swallowed it this time. Oliver, why do you care so much? I took a breath. A big one. The kind you take before saying something dangerous. Because I see you, I said. Even when you're trying to hide. She looked at me for a long time. Long enough that my heart started beating in my throat. Then she whispered, nobody has ever said that to me. Well, they should have, I almost said. But I didn't. I wasn't here to compete with ghosts from her past. I was here to build something new. Over the next weeks, we grew closer in ways I didn't expect. She started helping in the bookstore, organizing shelves, recommending books to customers, leaving little sticky notes with sweet or funny comments on certain novels. The customers loved her. Honestly, everyone loved her. But she didn't seem to notice how easily she brightened the room. One evening, while she was stacking the romance section, she said, do you ever think about marriage? I dropped the book I was holding. Not dramatically, just enough to look stupid. She laughed softly. Relax. I'm just asking. I mean, yeah, I said, rubbing the back of my neck. Someday. What kind of marriage would you want? Her voice sounded casual, but her eyes were searching, like the answer mattered more than she wanted to admit. I want a simple one, I said. Someone I feel peaceful with. Someone I can talk to every night and wake up beside every morning. She stared at me, really stared. Then she whispered, that sounds beautiful. What about you? I asked. She looked down at the books in her hands. I want something real, something safe, something I never have to doubt. You deserve that, I said. She met my eyes. Do you think I'll ever get it? Yes, I said. And when you do, the guy will be the luckiest person alive. Ariana's breath caught, but she looked away quickly, pretending to read the blurb on the back of a book. But I saw it, the spark, the tiny flicker in her chest responding to mine. We were moving toward something real, something big. I felt it every time she touched my arm, every time she said my name, every time she looked at me like she was memorizing my face. But love isn't a straight line. and hers came with shadows. One day, she didn't come to the store again. But this time, it wasn't just a few days. It was a full week, then 8 days, then 9. I didn't sleep. I barely ate. I kept imagining terrible things. Things I couldn't control. On the 10th day, I made a decision. I was done waiting. I put on my jacket and walked out of the bookstore, heading toward the only clue I had, her old bus stop. Maybe it was stupid. Maybe it was hopeless. But I couldn't sit still anymore. When I reached the stop, I almost turned around. But then I saw her. She was sitting on the bench, knees pulled to her chest, face buried in her arms. She looked smaller than I remembered. Tired. Broken. I walked to her slowly. Ariana. Her head shot up, eyes swollen, cheeks streaked with dried tears. And when she recognized me, something inside her collapsed. She stood and threw herself into my arms. Not gently, not softly, but desperately. Oliver, she cried into my chest.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have disappeared. I held her so tight I was afraid I'd hurt her. But she didn't let go. What happened? I whispered. She shook her head violently. I didn't want you to see me like this. I want to see you in every way, I said. Good and bad. She sobbed harder. My past came back, she whispered through tears. Someone who hurt me before. He found me. He tried to talk to me. He said things that messed with my head. I didn't feel safe. I didn't know what to do. Panicked. I ran. And then I just hid. I clenched my jaw. Anger surged inside me, but I didn't show it. Right now, she needed comfort, not rage. You should have come to me, I said gently. She shook her head. I didn't want to ruin your life. You are my life? I whispered before I could stop myself. She stiffened slightly, pulled back, looked into my eyes like she was searching for a lie. She didn't find one. Oliver, don't say that, she whispered. Why not? I said softly. It's true. Her lips trembled. She was fighting something inside her. Fear, hope, disbelief. Finally she whispered, I don't want to be saved. I just want to be loved. My heart almost stopped. I want to love you, I said. I've wanted that for a long time. Her eyes widened. Oliver, I don't want you to run anymore, I continued. Not from me. Not from your future. Not from the love you deserve. She placed her hand on my cheek, thumb brushing against my skin. Do you really mean that? She whispered. Yes, I said. I want all of it. I want you. Her breath hitched. She closed her eyes like she was afraid to open them and find this wasn't real. Then very slowly she leaned in. Her forehead touched mine first. Then her nose. Then finally her lips. It wasn't a wild kiss. It wasn't rushed or hungry. It was soft, delicate, full of everything she had been too scared to say, and everything I had been dying to tell her without words. When we pulled apart, she rested her head on my chest and whispered, Oliver, if I ever get married one day, I want it to be with someone like you. My entire soul lit up. I wrapped my arms around her and held her like a promise. You don't need someone like me, I whispered. You need me. She laughed softly, breathlessly, like she wasn't used to happiness. Then don't let me go, she said. I won't, I replied. Not now, not ever. Months passed, and she healed. Slowly, beautifully. We built a life together step by step. She moved in with me. She wrote again. She smiled easily. She laughed loudly. She loved with a softness that felt like sunlight. One night, sitting on the rooftop, watching the stars, she whispered, Oliver, I think I'm ready. For what? I asked, brushing her hair off her shoulder. To say it. My heart stopped. She took my hand gently. I love you. The world went quiet. Time stopped. Everything felt perfect. I love you too, I whispered, pulling her into my arms. And in that moment I knew I wasn't just loving a girl. I was loving my future wife, because she wasn't just the one I loved. She was the one I hoped to marry, the one I wanted forever with. and the one who finally believed she deserved forever. If you felt this emotional journey, connect deeper with stories like this. Share it, save it, and follow for more powerful, soul-touching love tales. Your support helps bring more beautiful stories to life.